Welcome back, everyone, to Merge Conflict, your favorite developer podcast in the entire world, where we just ship all the bits and just merge and ship stuff to NPM accidentally. Whoopsies. What happened? Just ship all the maps? We could find everything with a map.
I've never heard of map files. Tell me more, James. Did someone accidentally upload a map and now everyone's reading a map? That sounds ludicrous. Why would anyone want to do that?
I did watch a video from, I'm pretty sure it was the guys at Syntax. They were talking about source mappings and why you may want to, because I think Apple, remember when Apple, they shipped their source map accidentally for the new Apple App Store page when you can browse apps on the website, and they accidentally shipped their source maps. To me, these are like PDB files in a way, but like different. I think they're like also like the entirety of the source code, kind of, but not really. Source maps are important because they kind of allow you to like really do deep debugging, from my understanding, because it's like the source and it is the map XYZ to it. It's not like a one-to-one, right? Or is it a one-to-one? I don't know.
No, think of it more like as the de-obfuscator. So like you take your JavaScript file, you obfuscate it, and it's the information you need to turn it back into source code. So everyone ships their JavaScript apps as obfuscated, compressed, compiled, whatever silly web term you want to use there. And it turns all the variable names into _a or something stupid like that. And then the map says _a is actually the variable called prompt, let's say. Yeah, they're useful because it's you want to test an actual release bundle, because bundling JavaScript is such a pain in the butt, and getting that all right is a pain. So you actually kind of want to test your app in that compiled mode. Plus there are efficiency gains, but they're very minor. But you want to be able to read the code in the debugger, and that's why I think you think of it as debuggable, because it puts the variable names back, puts the white space back, all the important things.
Yeah, so you get to do that. And I think obviously if you're doing like internal testing and obviously running on your local machine, that's super important. But you probably don't want to ship them to production, although you can.
I mean, if you don't care, like, who cares? Like, software's free now. I believe I heard someone at Microsoft say. So, like, what's the value in anything anymore? You might as well just ship all the code. No, I think, like, if it's open source code, or if it's just like bunch of front end stuff that's validating a text box, who really cares? You don't need to obfuscate that stuff. But if it's all your API keys and core logic to your application, maybe you want to protect it.
If it is Cloud code, maybe you want to protect that accidentally. And it's an easy mistake to make. But yeah, it's there's a whole thing. I didn't dive through any of the code. I don't even know. I think all the code's taken down or something. Someone's converting it to Rust or something crazy. But yeah, it's I think in the world of software development, right? It's a great reminder. Apple did it, Anthropic did, some of the largest companies in the entire world. It's easy to slip up a little bit here and there, and that happens. But also give people grace. Like there's a human that accidentally flipped a flag, right? And that kind of sucks for them. That's a bad day for them.
70% chance it was a human, 90% chance it was a human, but it could have been anything accidentally.
Or a human instructing, human in the loop. There's got to be a human somewhere. There's a human somewhere, Frank. A human.
Someone has credentials. We'll put it that way.
Yeah.
Whoever's credentials was used. Yeah, it's funny because I was just going through a whole thing. I was getting the weirdest .NET compilation error. Whenever I was trying to do things in CI/CD, it kept hitting this weird firewall rule, and it would keep coming up in my CI/CD. Everything was working, but this firewall's like, we blocked your access to this domain I've never heard of. I'm like, what the heck is that? Weird. And finally tracked it down. There was an ancient obfuscator referenced in the repo. It wasn't even referenced. It wasn't used. Nothing was executing it, but it was sitting there in the repo because I am dirty. I am sloppy, and I just leave stuff in the repo from decades ago. And it was, AI's futzing around promiscuously trying to load URLs, was trying to load an obfuscator URL that was just so ancient that like it was hitting all the rules and everything. I was like, oh yeah, I remember when I used to obfuscate my C# code. And I think people still do that, but I don't know. It doesn't. No one decompiles code anymore, or at least, given the web and how every app is basically open source because of JavaScript. What's the difference?
Yeah, it's tricky. I would say that is, you have like an idea and then you build it. It's easier to build it faster than ever nowadays. If you have an idea or you see something, I think in the enterprise it's pretty important because they really want that extra layers of security, right? So especially on like Android
or at least the
obviously
theater of it.
Yeah, there's a theater. There's like a feel good feeling that I've obfuscated my code and I went through all this stuff and look at all these check boxes I checked, boss.
There's absolutely no way an AI could just sit there and give it good variable names. That would be impossible.
No, impossible. Well, and that's we talked about when you disassembled that thing that fell off the submarine or whatever. The boat. Was it a boat? Was it a submarine? What was it?
A frigate.
A frigate? That's a frigate. Nowadays you can point it at the thing and it'll figure out the thing. So I think that's a beautiful world that we're living. We're at MVP Summit. And, aerial tramways are having a moment thanks to SNL. And I didn't know much about aerial tramways. And I think the thing is I can point AI and say, give me a thing about aerial tramways. And then I can have a generated report, a PowerPoint. We got invited to this wedding that's in another country, in a beautiful country. I'm not gonna say what country, because this thing's beautiful country.
There's many to choose from.
South America, Latin America, Latin America. And I was like, well, I want to go to this wedding because I've never been to this country. So I went into Microsoft Copilot, normal Copilot, and they have this new tasks. And our friend Craig works on the MAI Copilot team. And you can go into tasks and you can ask it to do a bunch of stuff. So, for example, I had to book a date night for me and Heather, and open table. It did a thing, found a restaurant, did a thing, right? I'm going to have it book super.
You did the actual demo thing where you had it book you a dinner reservation. I mean, that is the classic AI demo. I'm so proud of you. I've never done that.
I was like, hey, find some restaurants that we haven't been to and go book it for me. Make it happen. I said, I want to have dinner around 6 o'clock. So we got to be home by like 8 o'clock for Millie for insulin, and see what nights are good. I prefer a Friday, but a Saturday would work in these date range. Like, go make it happen. And it made it happen. I was like, cool, thanks. Awesome. I just did it.
I love it.
Did the thing.
I mean, the next thing I know, you're going to order a pizza and book a flight. Like you're using close. AI so correctly at this point. Yeah.
So for this trip, I said, hey, we got invited to this wedding. Here's the wedding website. Here's where we, they knows where I live, obviously, because I've told it. It's got the memories. And I'm like, hey, Heather and I need to go. Like, go figure out optimal flight. I want the best flights, reduced hours. I'm okay with an overnight, but like, we want to spend some time in the main city before going over here. I said, put together an itinerary of everything we need to know for the wedding, getting flight options. Said I want Alaska, but I also want United because I got credits on United. But I'm also cool splitting one way each, right? I said I got about $500 in credits. What can we do?
Smart.
And then I was like, when we stay in the city, in the first city, I want to stay at a Marriott because I got points, and then we'll stay at the wedding hotel here. I said, go. I said, you know what? I want you to not just research this. I want you to create a PowerPoint presentation to convince Heather that we should go to this. And it generated the most beautiful, stunning thing in the entire. I'll send it. It's like, it is mind-bogglingly amazing. It's like beautiful imagery and like all this stuff. And then I didn't have it book the things for me. That was like the next thing I could have, because we sat down. But it was really nice because it did give a review. So I've been doing that. So thanks, shout out to Craig and the entire MAI team for hooking that up. It was pretty cool, and it was nice.
That's very cool. But you just gave me the idea. Now you need to code an MCP server that logs into all your reward accounts, so it can be like, hey, you got points over here, you got points over there. I'm gonna distribute your points to the economy. And hook you up with the best date night ever.
I do feel like that's like the next level jump of of whatever this is that if it can have access and even just understanding, it doesn't have access, but understanding to my points and my things. Like ideally what I want is an agent. I want to be like, hey, I want to go to, we just went to Korea. You know, we want to fly Hawaiian airline, and we got this, or Alaska airline, we got this many points. Like, we want to go sometime for this long, blah, 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 right? I want you to like monitor and optimize the absolute best, you know, point to dollar ratio spend, upgraded
Love
business class, blah, blah, blah. I don't want to spend more than this points. And then it could just work in army things, or it could just, ideally it should just know, and it could just give me recommendations and nonstop. Right. There's services that I have, like there's, what is it? A points path, which when you search on Google Flights, it'll tell you like the points of like if it's a good deal or not. But you got to be proactive. I listen to all the hacks, and he's always like, "Oh, here's how I do this," and just spending lots of research. I don't have time to research, right? Yeah. So our flight back, we had this like, you know, point. I was like, "Oh, it seems like a decent amount of points." I have no idea if it's a good idea, but I was like, "Seems all right. Doesn't seem like too much. Let's get it. Let's book it, right?" But is it a good dollar to point ratio? I have no idea, but I do think that's the agent that needs to sit there, and whoever builds that $1 billion idea, I'd pay for that.
I've got half a feeling like OpenClaw does it, because, you know, there's skills for everything. But yeah, someone get on that, please. And I'm just realizing, like, I actually do need to start taking advantage of this, because living on the island here, all I think about are logistics when I leave the island, like timing this and timing that. Got to time the ferries, got to time this. It's horrendous. I hate logistics. I'm willing to do it for very important events, like to go visit you, but that's about it. And so I'm like, oh, but if an AI actually did that and maybe coupled in my points, which I don't have any of, but, you know, I could pretend we could start building some points together. Yeah, I do need to get it on logistics. Thanks for the tip. I always think of it as ordering pizza, but now that you've reframed it in my head as getting on and off the island, I think I might actually try to tap into this.
I did think about this recently, and like recently I did DoorDash. I don't DoorDash very often, but like I was remote. I was in a place where there was no food in the house that we were at temporarily, and I was like, I gotta order some stuff. So I ordered some bars and some, you know, some waters and some stuff from 7-Eleven. Got it delivered. You know, I couldn't leave the house. Classic. And this weekend where we're working on this in this area, and I was like, it's like 3:00. We haven't eaten anything yet, or anything in the house. I was like, I'm just gonna like reorder. So I like because I don't like apps. Like I'd already deleted the DoorDash app, and I got to reinstall. I got to like re-log in. I got to go pick it up. But do I want everything? What would have been cool is I should have done it. Go to task and be like, hey, go place that last order from, it's the same, but this address, like go make it happen. Right. And I bet it might have been able to do it. That would have been a good test. You know, how close does it get? It gets pretty close until it has to like enter a credit card, you know?
Yeah, exactly. Well, we both keep talking about, I think at the MVP summit, you called me skillless, and it's almost true. I have one skill, but it sounds like we both need to build up our little skills so that we can do this kind of stuff.
Well, it sounds like somebody deployed a agent fleet onto a code base over here. I don't know. You came back from MVP summit, and all of a sudden, Frank's using all of his tokens. You know, it's the 31st, so I guess it's about to reset. So C language, Frank's C++ parser, compiler, and interpreter for .NET, which I think you use this in iCircuit, right?
iCircuit, yeah. So it simulates Arduinos in iCircuit. So you can just write Arduino code in iCircuit, and while it's simulating the circuit, it's also simulating the Arduino code. And so I have a full high-performance virtual machine written in C# that runs on .NET on any platform, all sandboxed up with a little C compiler. So, you know, it's an open source library because I think, like, I don't know who else could use this, but it's good for parsing header files. If you wanted a plugin system for your own apps and you were willing to have people write those plugins in C and C++, which is a little weird. It's great for that, but
that doesn't matter anymore. Anyone can do it.
Exactly. Right. Yeah, just have an AI generate the code. You might as well. Yeah. Then there's a plugin system. I make it super easy to like integrate the sandboxed virtual machine with your own code, so it can talk to like your own objects and everything real easy. But yeah, I've had this It's some old artisanal code I wrote by hand back in the day.
Last release before today
Mm.
was almost 2.5 years ago, by the way. So it's and like
I mean,
the original releases are like 2018. So this is super artisanal.
yeah, it's like, well, the C language hasn't really. Okay, the C language changes constantly, but like the important parts of the C language don't change that often. So once you have something working, so the deal is, this library was a C parser compiler and virtual machine, but a lot of Arduino code out there is C++. And C++ is a much bigger language than C, much harder to implement. C is this beautiful, tight, easy to implement language. C++ is the monster from the middle of the ocean coming to conquer your town with its nuclear ray breath and all that kind of stuff. That kind of monster. Kaiju. That's the word I was looking for. And C++ is the kaiju. Anyway, so I was basically goofing off all last week at MVP Summit. And I came back and I'm like, I have not used up my tokens. And I swore I was going to use all my tokens every month.
Yeah.
And so I'm like, what am I going to use all my tokens on? So I did two things. We talked about it a little bit at the MVP Summit episode, which everyone you should watch live because we were facing each other. It's always very awkward and cool. I actually implemented my agentic workflow, which is really cool. It goes through past issues and triages them. That's a side point. That was not using my tokens fast enough, James. I had tokens to burn. So I'm like, you know what? It is time. It is time to improve my C language and turn it into C++ language, or at least get in some of the bigger features it's been missing for a while, namely like inheritance and polymorphism, operator overloading, the stuff you need to kind of support the more sophisticated Arduino libraries out there, because no one writes in C. Everyone writes in C++. So you say I ran a fleet. Call me Admiral Frank, because I did not use the fleet command. I was one at a time, banging through these puppies, one PR at a time. Also, Pierce made me feel bad at MVP Summit because he was asking who launches an agent and then sits there and watches it instead of multitasking. And I'm like, that's me.
Everybody.
Yeah, because look, AIs have improved. They really have in the last year. I get it. Opus, awesome. But they still make mistakes. They still take every little shortcut they can possibly take. So, like, you do have to babysit these things a little bit. Anyway, Pierce put me on the spot, and I said, I'm gonna multi-agent, James. I was creating issues. I had agents creating issues. I was creating PRs. I had agents critiquing those PRs. I was agentifying everything. And I, not to compliment myself here, but I crushed it. Made some awesome features and really improved the library, and full credit to Opus for doing all the hard work, obviously. But I feel like that was a blitz of dev lead management. I'm kind of exhausted after just like 2 days, but the agent and we accomplished a lot. And it was honestly really thrilling and fun because like it just got so many big features done and bugs fixed that have been bothering me for literally years. Like some of the issues were 5-6 years old that we fixed.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's a long rant. I just want to say I had so much fun. Like this has really inspired me again to like, you're not coding, but it's coding. It's weird. It's a different kind of coding.
It's coding. I think this is a cool example because, now I can see in your repo, you got an agents MD file, you got some like workflow files, you're trying to agentify this puppy. You got the releases and like it touched all aspects of it. And funnily enough, like one of my new favorite things to do is what you just did here, which is like go find one of my projects that I just haven't touched in a long time. And can I facelift it, right? It's still deployed. I'm still using it. Maybe it's an app, it's whatever. Maybe it's an open source project. Recently, there's a project on the Microsoft GitHub called Cloud Cloak. Okay,
Cloud Cloak.
Cloud Cloak.
Hard to say.
It's github.com/Microsoft/Cloud Cloak. What Cloud Cloak lets you do is it's a browser extension, and is when you log into GitHub, into AWS, into Azure, into other services, it will blur all of your API keys, subscription keys, all that stuff for you automatically, right? This is a hackathon project a few years ago, pre-AI, maybe early Copilot days of like auto completion. And a bunch of people worked on it. Scott was like a sponsor on it, like real excited about it. And it's great for demoing because it can auto hide a bunch of stuff, even on your screen.
This is in the browser, I'm assuming?
In the browser.
Yeah.
So you just turn it on. It'll auto detect. It has a bunch of URLs that will auto detect and turn on automatically. So it's like Azure, AWS, or things like that. And it's like, oh, flip it on. If you decide to enable it or not. And this is super great. So for example, even if you have an API key, you can say show API key. It'll still blur it, but the copy button will be available for you. Right. So that's kind of nice.
Great. Yeah.
So this project was sitting there and I got a report from our video editor that's like, hey, like this is a pain in the butt to like edit out and blur all these things. Like there's got to be a better way. I was like, oh, there's this Cloak. And I went and I looked at the repo and it was 2.5 years old and like no one's touched it. And I was like, can I get the admin? Give me the admin. Give me the admin. Give me the admin privileges. And I unleashed. So I pointed Copilot and I was like, I said, I want you to analyze. And there was about like 15 open issues. And I said, I want you to, and there was no release pipeline, no anything. So I was like, first and foremost, like there's no tests. I was like, let's get a baseline test. Boom. And I was like, all right, I want you to analyze all of the issues. I want you to understand what's still valid, what's not valid. And some of these don't have a lot of information. Can you research and like based on the code base, update the issue to see if there is more information so we could triage it? And I said, I want you to put together a plan, a phase attack plan of like, what's this? Boom, boom, boom. And it just got to work. And like within one day, I was just like, I did so much. I fixed up, I added tons of new Azure websites. I like fixed so many bugs on it. Just like you were saying, it's just like this army of, I've never seen this code. I've never seen this code. Right. And it's just like, boom, it's like doing the things. I was like PRing and doing all this stuff. I was like, dude, crushing it. It was fun. It's coding in a different way.
Yeah, thanks for making me feel better because like I did have to do a tiny bit of code, patch it here or there, but like for the most part, this was all AI code. Like if it did a bad job, I just yelled at it. I've really gotten used to this is another reason to babysit the agent's steering. I didn't know that this feature was added. It was added to VS Code, but it's also sitting there in Copilot on the GitHub website. So when it starts a PR, you can click view session and you can monitor it, see what the heck it's doing. But there's also a little chat window in there. And if you see it doing something really dumb, you can just type to it and say, hey, buddy, stop messing around with that. Do it this way instead, and hit the button. And they say on the next tool call, they'll just kind of inject your prompt in there. So you're not like stopping it. You're not restarting it. You're just kind of sliding a little message, sliding into the DMs of the AI there. And so I found that was a really great way to steer it when I saw it going wrong. And then obviously you go patch your agent's MD file so it doesn't make those kinds of mistakes again. But boy, it was gratifying, especially like the way it was building unit tests and everything. And there were features like in the library that I'm just like, I know I implemented this feature, but I don't know if it's complete or not. Can you just write a test suite for me? And like check if it's finished. Because like that was one thing I learned when I started my agentic workflow, which has been really beneficial, where I ask it, go through the old issues and just do deep research. I don't know why I keep using that term. I think I heard it at MVP Summit. I just
deep research.
I'm like I mean, you can do research on this.
you can do research, but then you do deep research. Like,
that's what I'm saying.
Research. That's garbage. That's 2025. We're 2026. We got to do deep research.
I need deep research here. And I want you to come up with a test suite. I want you to do this and that. And it's really satisfying to see it like generate those tests. Because I'll be honest, James, like we used to say at Microsoft, devs make the worst testers. And I do believe it because we're so happy when we get our own code working that we don't really want to break it. We say we want to break it. We don't really want to break it. I don't want to break my code. I know my C compiler has issues, and I don't want to look at those issues because they're big and scary, and compilers are hard, honestly. But the AI is just like, no, we're going to do multi-base class inheritance. And I'm like, no, that's not going to work. It's like, yeah, it's probably not going to work, but we're going to test it. I'm like, no, don't test it. It's not going to work. And it's like, oh, it doesn't work. Let's implement it. I'm like, how about you implement it? And then, life is good then. It's actually, I'm lying about that one. It really didn't want to do for those who don't know, C++ has multiple base class inheritance. You can inherit from multiple different types all at once. And basically every other language has dropped that kind of support. But C++ has got it for better or for worse. And if you have a crazy. C++ compiler, you got to support it. Yeah. So it's funny. Like even the AI is like, let's not do that. I'm like, let's do it. Let's do it. I got tokens to spend, baby. And you have no feelings as far as I can tell. I anthropomorphize you, but I don't believe he has feelings. So you're going to implement multiple base classes. And it was great. It's just, what did I say? I think we got like 31 different issues resolved and fixed in
it's 2 days. 2 days? Yeah.
2 days. And I have to say, like, tiring days because multitasking is hard, is what I've learned. Like, you've always got like one running, one that you're reviewing, one that you're thinking about running. And I find about 3 is about as much as I can mentally handle. I see that like tweets of people with like a grid of like 27 processes running. I don't know how they keep all those in their head, or how do you verify any of them? Because like the AI kept making mistakes. I had to keep telling it like, no, stop cheating.
Yeah.
But like I found 3 is a good number.
I think like that's a good number, especially if you have like certain things in your project that, I was talking to someone like, well, how do you do it? Like, how do you like have all these sessions? I was like, well, I kind of understand the code. So I can look and triage like in my mind, either features or issues or bugs. And I can run things in parallel, even on the same branch if I want to, if I'm just working a main or on multiple branches, if I'm on work trees and I want to avoid merge conflicts. So in my mind, like you can have the AI prioritize, but in my mind, if I know the code, which is beneficial, I can then have the AI work on different pieces of the code that aren't going to conflict with each other, right?
Right.
Hopefully, right? And obviously, it can resolve merge conflicts and be all smart about it. But then that gets another cognitive load. That's another thing that I don't want to deal with. Even like if I'm just writing code manually, I don't want to handle merge conflicts personally. Mm-hmm. But then I also said, I'm not just working on one project. I'm working on other projects too, right? So in an ideal world, I have like, multiple VS Code windows open or GitHub.com open or whatever it is, whatever app is open, and I'm working on multiple things at the same time. Not that I'm focused on all of them, but if I have ideas or I have a backlog item or have something, maybe while I'm waiting around, I'm like, oh, let me just go check on this other project or do this other thing. And I kind of sat around today and I was like, I don't really have anything to work on. So
wow.
Like, that seems problematic. At least on my current projects that I have. And I said, that seems problematic. I need to maybe I need to go tell the AI to come up with new features to implement, right? And in some workflow. But then I was kind of like, I'm kind of bored without my agents getting to work and doing something. So I kind of found this flip side where I was like, I was exhausted when they're all doing too much. I have to review too much. And now I'm like, now I'm kind of bored. The agents aren't doing anything. I need to do something for me. I don't have a new idea, but like, let's go. So yeah, it's kind of interesting. Yeah.
So even though I said I was getting tired with 3 running and I got 31 things done in 2 days, I was also working on other projects at the same time.
Oh, cool.
So nice. I was working on iCircuit, and iCircuit uses 2 libraries. I mean, it uses lots of libraries, but the 2 libraries I was also working on were C language, the C compiler, and Cross Graphics, which is the rendering engine used by iCircuit. And forever, I wrote the most beautiful artisanal metal graphics layer in Cross Graphics, all in the name of performance. Always just trying to get those frames per second with using 0 CPU is always the goal. But there were a few quality issues. So I always had 1 or 2 PRs in iCircuit running, 3 or 4 things in C language running, all on GitHub because I hate work trees. I think they're gross. now that I've had time to experience them, I think they're terrible. And then I had like, as a fun side thing, if I was waiting for any of those to finish, I'd spin up cross graphics and keep working on the metal renderer where, it's funny. It's those funny conversations you have with the AI now. I'm like, hey, there's a bit of code I've always been afraid to write because it's really math heavy. I'm good at math, but it's still intimidating. Let's work on this together, babe. And it's like, let's do this. And it generates the absolute worst code I've ever seen in my life. Completely fails, completely breaks every test. I'm like, well, that was way worse. Can you review your own code and figure it out? And we went back and forth, and like we both decided the math is really hard in this case. But because of that dialogue, we came up with a whole different way to implement the feature that I wanted. And it came out much cleaner and much better. And it came out actually really fantastic in the end. And that was a third side project while working on 2 other projects, each of those projects having, well, iCircuit I could only handle about 1 or 2 on at the same time because they're much more complicated, a lot more to think about. And the C language one was just blasting away. Man, I've been productive the last 2 days. I don't know if I can do it every day, though, every week. It's too much.
Well, I would tell people some pro tips that I learned from going to Harold's lab at the MVP Summit and conversations afterwards, which was like plan more, my personal opinion, and Harold's as well. He's like, if you're not planning, you're doing it wrong. And I was like, whoa, shit, I'm not planning enough. Oh, crap. Oh, I swore on the podcast. I was like, I'm not doing it enough. I do plan a lot. And now some of the agents in the main loop will ask you questions. And I really like that. I want it to ask me questions. In fact, sometimes if I'm not in plan mode, I'll say, ask me questions if you're not sure, right? Yeah. But I do think plan mode always, 99% of the time, results in better results at the end of the game for implementation.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
And then the other thing that he said, so be planning. So I'm interested if you were to go back in time and instead of just, if you went into a deep plan mode and going back and forth, I wonder if that would have resulted in better results first.
No, I have my own technique now. So I definitely do plan mode when I'm just like coding in VS Code or something. But I have my alternative to plan mode that I very much enjoy, which is I always have it do first the plan
deep
mode,
research,
where we talk it through. Then we do deep research, James. And we summarize the plan, the deep research, and the discussion as an issue. Have that put up on the thing. And then I assign the issue to a coding agent. So there's almost 3 levels involved. There's the planning, then the finalization of an issue, which generates a real artifact that I can reference and think about and critique and play with. And then I code from that. And that has been my favorite process so far, because having that like codified issue up there is like, here is our plan. This is what we're going to do. And it's done the deep research. So it's all, I know I approve of it.
And like the context is fresh there. So it only needs to know whatever you did. It doesn't need all that other crap that you threw away in its context window. So it can start fresh. The last thing, which I like this approach too, that you just did. I love creating issues, is the last part is the review part of it. Because I think there's the human review, but now I've been using the GitHub Copilot code review agent much, much more. And additionally, what I've been doing in the CLI is I'll point it at a PR and I'll say, hey, there's this PR that just finished. I would like for you to review it with multiple models. Like give me a GPT-4 model, give me an Opus model, give me a, whatever model, right? Maybe I have my own model, my Gemini model, right? I say, give me these. I want you to review. And what you can do is you can say, review it with these different, because who knows who implemented it, right? Maybe it's one or the other, right? Maybe it's a Sonnet model. So I want you to review, you have the context of the PRs, and then battle each other. Like come up with your own decision, then battle and decide together and fight with each other. Like,
that's
and then
pro
give me an
there.
And you don't have to go that far. If you just do the review agent, you can say, oh, okay, yes, no. But what I also like to do is this. I'll do a hybrid, which is I will do the pull request, and then I'll do the review. So they'll do the code review. And then I won't review the code review. I'll pull it. I'll say, hey, listen, on this pull request, I ran the code review and it left a bunch of issues. Can you go validate all the issues and give me a report of what you think is actually important based on the code review? Because I think about it as this. I don't like to think about these AIs as humans, but I like to think of them as personas, right? And a persona is like, this is a code reviewer. Frank could be reviewing my code. Heather could be reviewing my code, and or the GitHub Copilot could be reviewing my code. Do I blindly trust everything that Frank tells me or Heather tells me or the code review agent tells me? No, I need another set of eyes. They're either my eyes or another pair of eyes on it, right? So if Frank reviews my codes, leaves comments, I don't blindly trust him. I might have Heather review the comments and my code as well. So that is like a nice approach. And I think we forget sometimes in this world of AI of how we work in software development. You can apply those same concepts to working with AI, right? At the same time. And I do review the code, but also like have another set of eyes. It's there, it's waiting for you, right? To review that review. And I think that has been really helpful. And I've caught some really intriguing bugs. And I would also encourage you to do this in your code, which is like, do a performance analysis, do a security audit, like tell it to do the things that you should probably do, and then have it create detailed, then do deep research on each of them, right? And then generate reports for it, right? I did this thing, which was I use, it'd be really crazy if this actually, if it happened, but we have automation for the GitHub Copilot CLI, the Twitter account for the change log. So whenever it gets the change log, it sucks up the change log. And what it does is it does an AI generated report. So it takes all of it and it shoves it into Microsoft Foundry, and I have it generate a really cool report with the top features and categorize them into all this stuff and add emojis where appropriate. And one of the reviews was like, hey, like you're not doing any like prompt injection detection. And I was like, well, I probably don't need to. It's from the change log. But I was like, but I probably should. Like, I probably should.
I think that's Twitter. Yeah. Anything
right?
can happen.
And I was like, okay, cool. Yeah, do that. Right. So that was a nice one. It was like security audit. And it's like, oh, I see that you're calling an AI service. The thing that you probably want to do are these things. So it was neat, a neat way of thinking about just using these agents in different ways instead of like, go do this thing. Right. Oh, think about this thing in a different way. And I've been doing this other thing, which is using these tools together, which is like, do deep research in this thing and then take that output and then put it in another thing, right? Just like how you're doing it. Take this research, put it in an issue, then assign it to a thing, right?
Yeah, I think I will give that a whirl because my biggest complaint through the process, I really enjoyed my process of creating an issue and then a PR. I feel like we got good quality code out of that usually. But I was still catching stuff in the PR and it was getting a little tiring hand reviewing all the code. Oh, what a tough life I live in 2026, having to hand review all this code. So yeah, I think I'll give that a whirl though, of trying to set some agents to do the review first. I did notice in Copilot on GitHub, it does run some kind of sub agents where it does like at least a little bit of a security check and something, but it's a bit black box. Like I have no idea what's actually going on there. But if I had my own agents with my own prompt and saying something, I could see how that would be beneficial. Worth a try. I did get a little tired of like clicking all the boxes in GitHub because like with every PR, you got to wait for it to finish, which is a random amount of time. It can be 2 minutes. It can be 42 minutes. You never know how long it's going to take. So I wish there was a better notification system there. And then you got to click the box that says ready for review. Then you got to go review, fill in all that stuff. Then you have to approve the workflows. Then if you had any changes requested, you got to repeat all those steps all over again. So I feel like the GitHub UI can be improved for this new brave world that we're in 2026. And I know there's different code editors out there and everything. But I like working through the GitHub UI because it's not on my machine. It's in parallel. It's doing its own branches. I'm not filling my beautiful directory structure up with gross work trees. So I just like the cleanliness of it all just being up in the cloud. But I feel like the UI could use some refinement. I was that close to vibe coding an interface because all this stuff is obviously accessible through the GitHub APIs. So I was like very close because I was getting tired of clicking all the buttons to streamlining the experience. And I might still. We'll see if GitHub decides ever to update their UI ever again. I feel like it's been decades since they've updated their UI.
Things happening. I think perf, I think, is first before facelift. So,
it's not face. It's just it's UX. It's how many clicks do I have to do?
It is. It's UX. Thing. Yeah, I agree. Yeah. I do a lot of that stuff from the mobile app, and the mobile app I have to do the same thing. I have to boom, review, boom, click, merge, go. Too many clicks. Yeah. So we'll see if that changes, and that is like an anti like agent flow, right? It's like very manual, like lots of safety checks. So I'll be interested to see if that evolves. But seems like you're evolving slowly but surely, Frank. I love it. It's good.
Not so slowly, man. That was high efficiency the last few days. We'll see if it's a burnout, though. We'll see if can I keep this up for 5 working days in a week? Because I feel like this high productivity is going to come at a cost. I'm curious to see how we all feel in 2 years. We're going to be like, man, I generated so much code.
Well, it sounds like you worked really hard for 2 days. Now you can just go on vacation. Done. Shipped it.
I got to pull a James and work from the airport. Get the app installed and just do the clickety-click in the airport.
I like it. All right. All right. We'll go deploy your own fleet of agents on your code base. If you have any tips and tricks, write into the show, mergeconflict.fm, or leave, most likely, a comment on our YouTube. Now, if you haven't caught last week's pod, I posted it late, Frank. Oops, it's on agentic workflow. So
I didn't know this thing.
If you go and check it out, go check it out. And it's got really nice. It's got a really nice
lighting. Camera.
Lighting. So very nice.
It is.
Nice,
we had
nice
a red camera.
Yeah. So give it a look.
Made a movie while we were there.
It's pretty good. It's pretty good. So give it a look and see what you got. And
is that better than an iPhone camera?
Yes, I think it's tiny is better. It is hard to say, but tiny is better. We're both in the studio together, so give it a look-sees if you're listening to this. Obviously, if you're listening to the last one, youtube.com/@mergeconflictfm. That's going to do it for this week's Merge Conflict, Frank. So until next time, I'm James Montemagno.
And I'm Frank Kruger. Thanks for watching and listening.
Peace.